type ribbon, and 5 basic tools. Welcome back to our another lesson of Adobe Illustrator Essential. In this lesson, we are going to be learning about the type ribbon and also the 5 basic tools. So, first thing I'm going to be doing is going to be opening up one of the preset. Well, most of the time I just use the letter because it's in the front, and as I'm not showing you any exercises, so I can just use any of the preset I want. But if you want any different preset, make sure to use whichever one you want. Then I'm going to do is wait for a while until it appears up on my screen. Now I'm going to do is cut this off over here because I'm not going to be needing that right now. I'm going to do is take this gradient over here and keeping it wherever I want. Now, as we are going to learn about the type ribbon, I'm going to click on type first. Now, first thing which we get in type ribbon is going to be our fonts, our symbols, then our text. Most of them are about text and also about characters. So first thing we get are about the fonts. You can see it over here. We have our separate section of type. Here we have font, recent fonts, size, and more from Adobe fonts. Okay, use whichever one you want according to your desire. Okay, now from here, when you click on type, you'll basically find our fonts. I'm going to show off more fonts from Adobe fonts later on. Now, if you want to choose any of the fonts you want, you can go through these options and use whichever one you want. And each of them also comes with different type of, characters. Let's say a couple of them are regular, italic, bold, bold italic. Then there are also narrow bold, italic, narrow italic. You can see that there are a couple of them. You can use whichever font you want. You can go down and also find the ones whichever one you need. So it's going to be up to you whichever one you're going to use. Then we have is our recent fonts. Now, whichever font you worked on or which you used recently will appear over here on recent fonts. So make sure to use this function, and this is also an advantage. Let's say you use the font and then later on you opened up another, let's say preset or another file, and then you don't know which font you used or you forgot which font you used. So this recent fonts basically helps you to find the font which you actually used and then apply it directly. Okay, then we have is the size. Now, whichever size you want to use or whichever size of character you want to use, you can select it from over here. Now, as we know about these, let me just show it to you a bit. So I'm going to click on text, or let's say the type tool, which we have on Adobe Illustrator. When you click on it, I'm going to do is type in my text. First I'm going to do is going to be, as you can see, it is still selected. I'm going to go off the type. I'm going to go off the size, and then I'm going to do is change it to 72. You can see now it is larger. Now you can also click on type and you can change the font from over here. What I'm going to do is use this. It has changed, right? But I want to use the recently used font, which was a bit ago. Click on type, recent fonts, Marriott Pro, or whatever it is. You can see now it has been applied. So you can use these options. Now, another option is that you can go through these options from a different panel. You can go through these characters. It will provide you the same option, but also it looks a bit different because it is not the same as a ribbon. You can change the font style from over here, and you can change the font size from over here. It's going to be up to you. And later on, I'm going to be showing you about this panel too. So let's just finish off this lesson first, and then we're going to go through them later on step by step. Then you're going to click on type again, and then we have is more from Adobe fonts. Now, one thing is that there are a vast amount of fonts on Adobe Illustrator, but when it is on default, you might see that there are not like all the fonts over there on Adobe Illustrator in default mode. Okay, so a couple of fonts that you have to download it, or you have to load it up on Adobe Illustrator so that you can use it. And sometimes you download something or you use a template and that font is not available on your Adobe Illustrator version or not on your libraries. So what happens is that if you want that font, it's going to detect the font for you. And if you want to download that font, just click on more from Adobe fonts. So basically when you click on more from Adobe fonts, it will take you to their site where you will be able to download any of the font you want to use in the services of Adobe Illustrator and use them for various purposes. You can see The website is basically fonts.adobe.com, and then from here you'll be able to preview or see whichever font you want to use, and also you can get a preview and then download it and directly apply to Adobe Illustrator or load it up so that you can use it while working on Adobe Illustrator. And there are these vast amount of fonts, and there are also categories of what type of fonts you want, and obviously on each and every one of them there is a preview. You can see slab serif is like this, script is like this, serif is like this, hand is like this, and also mono, sans serif, and a lot of them. So now we know about the differences, and now you know how you'll be able to get fonts. So let's go off to Adobe Illustrator again and show to you how the other tools or other commands of the type ribbon has to offer. Now I'm going to click on type. Now we have glyphs. Now what are glyphs? Well, glyphs are basically kind of like symbols or icons, okay? So I'm going to click on glyphs. You'll basically see that it is kind of like, it is going to show me a glyph panel where I'll be able to select whichever glyph I want to use. You can see these are going to be entered as signs or symbols. Now you can use different type of, symbols too, lining figures. Then you'll be able to select different type of categories. Subscript, superscript is going to be up to you. So this is how the glyphs option or the glyph tool has to offer and how it functions. Now, the next one is going to be type conversion. Now, how to use the type conversion? I'm going to do select this, click on type, and I'm going to do select on this text, click on type again. And what basically happens is that it will turn a specific text into either a shape or rasterize it. Now, first thing is that I'm going to do select on it. You can see Control T when you select on it. And you're going to go off the type and you can convert the type, okay? Well, this is not working right now because we have to turn it into, let's say, a section, or let's say we have to turn it into an outline first. You can select on type and then you can convert to area type. You can click on it and you can see you'll be able to convert it however you want. And you can turn it into an outline too. Well, I will also show it to you later on. You can see you can convert to point type. You can also do that. You can see the anchor. You can see almost all the paths of this specific text. Then you can also go off the type and convert to area type back again. You can see the anchor over here, and you can change how it looks like according to your need. And you can also change the anchor point, and also you can convert the point type if you want to. You can see it over here. Double click on it and then change it whenever you want. Now let's go off the type again, and then we have is type on path and threaded text. Well, these are basically the same options or the same tools as we see over here, area type tools. Then we have type on path tool. Then we have type on path vertical. Well, this is how it works, okay? Basically, you find a path and then you have to select on that, specific shape or specific path you have, and then you can insert it directly into that shape or directly into that path. What the difference is that when you are using the tools over here, you can apply it directly, but when you are using these commands, you have to do it manually. Let's say you already have a shape, you already have a text, and then you're gonna do is put in the text later on. That is how it works. Then we have is fit to headline. So basically you can also fit a specific object or a specific, whatever you have in your panel or your workspace, you can make it fit to your headline. Now you can select on this option over here, click on type, and you can basically fit it to the headline, okay? If you basically have it. Now, if you have it selected, you can see that you can fit it to headline. Click on it, and it has been fitted to the headline, okay? So basically, this is how it works. Now, you can also resolve missing fonts. Let's say, just like I said a while ago, that if you don't have the font, okay, you downloaded a template or you downloaded some other person's work, or maybe that person used a font which you don't have on your PC or you don't have on Adobe Illustrator. So what happens is that when you click on resolve missing fonts, it will tell you what font is missing, and also it's going to suggest you to download that font so that you can get or use that font whenever you want, or so that it supports it. Okay, then we have is find replace font. Then we have is, I'm going to click on type again, and then we have is find and replace fonts. Well, you can find out specific font just like we do find and replace on specific characters or words, right? But sometimes when you want to find out specific fonts, let's say I want Papyrus. Okay, if I use Papyrus on any part of my project or any part of my file, I want to search up for it and I want to replace that font with something else, such as Myriad Pro. Okay, then I can do that. Just click on this option over here, then this option appears up. Now let's say I'm going to do is search up for Myriad Pro, like Pro over here. I'm going to do is find out that, activate. This is also activated. Recent fonts over here. I'm going to do is find out. Okay, click on find, and that has been found. Okay, now you can see replace with recent. Instead of that, I'm going to do is reset with system. Click on system. Let's say I'm going to do is maybe search up for something that looks a bit different. Now I want it to look something like this, italic, Century Gothic italic. Now when you select on it, click on find. I'm going to do is change all. Press on done, and you can see that the font has been changed by using our font and replace option, or our font replace and find option. Now I'm going to do is click on type again, and then you can also change the case. First off, you have to select the text first. Let's say I'm going to do select on it. You can see it over here. Then I'm going to do is click on type again, and you can change the case if you want uppercase, lowercase, title case, or sentence case. Now, if I want uppercase, I'm going to click on uppercase over here, and now you can see all the alphabets inside the word is now uppercased. But if I want lowercase on each and every one, I'm going to do is click on change type and click on lowercase, and all of them will be lowercase all at the same time. I can do the same thing and change it to title case, and I can use the same thing on, let's say, sentence case. Okay, well, basically title case and sentence case are basically quite the same. It just finds out the one which is like at the front to be capital. That's it. Then I'm going to do is click on type again, and then we have a smart punctuation. If there is any problem with punctuation, or it cannot, or I did not put any punctuation in my specific sentence or specific article which I wrote, or whatever text I have inside my document, and it's going to do is find out the places where I did not put in, and then it's going to do is place it or replace the punctuation, or maybe put in the punctuation where it needs to be. Okay, you can see select the text only or the entire document. It's going to be up to you. So I'm going to press on cancel. I'm going to do is keep it just the way it is, because it's not going to make any difference because I don't have any specific text. Then we have is create outlines. Now you can do is select on the text over here, which is over here, click on type, and then go off over here and create the outlines. Now this text is not basically a text anymore. It has turned into an outline. You can see it's basically like a shape. Okay, it's basically like a shape right now. Okay, so now you know how this works, and this is basically how it's going to work. Now click on type again, and then we have is optical margin alignment. I'm going to do is press on Control Z. I'm going to do is press on Control Shift Z. Or if it doesn't work, I'm going to do is undo scale. I'm going to do is press on edit again. I'm going to do is undo create outlines, and I'm going to keep it just the way it is. I'm going to click on type again, and then I will find out optical margin alignments. You'll find out the optical margin alignments of each and every one. So make sure to use it whenever you want to. Then we have is insert special characters. If you want to apply symbols, hyphens, quotation, you can go through these options and apply them whenever you want. But for that reason, you have to select on the text first. You can see over here, click on type, go off the insert special characters, and then apply it whenever you want. There's a couple of things. Let me just show two on each and every one of them. Let's say copyright symbol. You can see how it works. I'm going to click on type again. I'm going to click on insert special characters. Now, if I want something like ellipsis, you can see the ellipsis. Now I'm going to do is show it to you on a different one. Let's say I'm going to use hyphens and dashes. Let's say EM dash, and you can use whichever one you want. Now let's say I'm going to show it to you the last one, the quotation mark. Let's say single left quotation. Even though you can apply it directly from your keyboard, but the symbols look a bit different than, or let's say comparatively to the ones which you put on your keyboard. Okay, so this is basically how it works. Then we have is insert white space characters. You can also do the same thing. Let's say thin space. You can apply it if you want to, but if you don't, you can just keep it just the way it is. Okay, then we have is insert break characters. You can apply and force break lines if you want to, and you can also apply and fill with placeholder text. You can also apply that whenever you want. I'm going to press on Ctrl+Shift+Z. See how it works. Then you can press on edit. I'm going to do is press on undo. Let's say undo typing, Ctrl+Z. I'm going to keep it just the way it is. Press on Ctrl+Shift+Z, and there we have our text. Then you can go off the type, and then you can apply it whenever you want. Okay, then I'm going to do is show the last one, which is show hidden characters. If there are any hidden characters, you can see that there's a space over here. So the spaces basically look like this. So that is how it will look like. Now you can go off over here, type orientation. You can also see the orientation is now horizontal and also vertical. Then we have is our legacy text. Basically, we don't have any legacy right now. So if you do have any legacy text over here, you want it to appear to be on your workspace, then make sure to select on it, and all the legacy text will also appear up, just like it is shown on over here, the hidden characters. Okay. Now, as we're done with this type, ribbon, now let's go off to the next 5 tools of Adobe Illustrator and what it has to offer. So in our last tool, we used our width tool. Now in this lesson, we're going to start off from the free transform tool. Now when you click on this free transform tool, you'll be able to transform basically anything. You can see how it works. See, you'll be able to transform basically anything. This is basically how it works. You can literally change anything into whatever you want. Now you can right click on it. You have this puppet warp tool. You can also warp it up by selecting on the anchor. You can see over here, and you can puppet warp it up. Okay, you can see you can take it wherever you want. I can also take this wherever I want, and I also can take this wherever I want. See, this is basically how it works. When you select on it, it will still remain the text, but it will just be where you kept them to be. Well, this is kind of like very useful when you're trying to make a design or trying to work with your text. So you can use this option or use this tool. It will help you a lot. Then we have is this tool called our shape builder tool. You can use shapes or select shapes from over here. Let me show it to you. Okay, I'm going to do is first off make a couple of shapes. There we go. And I'm going to do is click on these options, and I'm going to do is make sure that they have no specific let's say color. I'm going to do select on it, and I'm going to do is make sure to select on none, but make sure to put on strokes or else it won't be visible. So I'm going to click on black. You can see it over here. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Click on black and make sure that there is no stroke or no color in there. I'm going to do is none. Do the same thing over here. Click on stroke. Make sure to put it black, but on this color, I'm going to do is make sure to use nothing over here. Do the same thing over here. I'm going to do is on strokes. I'm going to do is make it black. On color, I'm going to do is make it to be none. Okay. Then I'm going to do is I'm going to use a specific part. I'm going to do is click on this option over here. I'm going to do is select on the specific part, whichever one I want to use. First off, you have to select all of them. You can see now I just selected. I'm going to use this tool. I'm going to do is only use this part. You can see it is now building up in process. I can also use this part. Building shapes. I'm going to do is delete or Control-Z. Now as that part has been selected, or press on Alt so that you can use this minus over here. Now you can see the shape has been built. What do is take this up, and you can see that this has turned into a shape. Okay, you can select on the path and keep them wherever you want as they have been conjoined. Now you can right click on it, and there's also a live paint bucket. You can also use the paint bucket to color it up. Now if I use, let's say black, I'm going to do is change it into black. If you want to press on X, or let's say I'm going to do select on any of the color, then I'm going to do is, as I've selected on the color, I'm going to do select on this bucket tool. Now I'll be able to color it up whenever I want. So it's going to be up to me how I choose the color. Okay. Now you can also use the live paint selection tool. You can also use this and also change it however you want. You can see there's now, or let's say the color has been removed. The next tool which we have is perspective grid. Well, this is most of the time used in 3D mode. Well, if you're working with any 3D object, well, I would suggest you to use this because it helps you to find out the grid lines and also give you the perfect perspective of how it should look like. Also the shades and how you should customize it in such a way so that it will look good. Okay. Then the next one which we have is going to be right click on it and perspective selection tool. Now you can select on the perspective whichever one you want and then change the perspective of that specific object which you have. So this is how it will work. As I don't have any 3D object in my my workspace, it will not work. Then we have is this mesh tool. If you want to apply in a mesh, you will be able to do that. First off, you have to do is select any object. Let's say I have it. Then you'll be able to select on the mesh tool, and then you'll be able to put in the path if you want to, or put in whichever mesh you want. Then we have is our gradient tool. If you want to apply in any gradient on any surface or any object, just click on gradients and apply the gradient however you want. Now, first thing I'm going to do is remove this part. As I don't need it right now, I'm going to just click on this as I don't need it. So after I remove it, I'm going to do is start off by removing it, or maybe I'm going to do is make sure to put another new file. So I'm going to click on new. I'm going to do is make up another panel where I can start working on it. Press on create, and then I'll be good to go. You can see it over here. Now, just like I said, if you want to apply in any gradients on any object, let me just show it to you. Let's say I'm going to click on this object, and I'm going to do is make a shape. Now, after making a shape, I'm going to do is use this. I'm going to do is select on this object over here, and you will be able to apply in the gradient and also customize it according to your need. Okay. Then the last tool which I'm going to show you is going to be this eyedropper tool. Well, the eyedropper tool is basically there to find out the color which you want to use. You can see it over here, you can see it over here, and also this one. Now, if I use the measure tool, I'll be able to measure up specific object. Let's say I'll be able to draw a line, but that line is not going to be visible when I want the output. So it's not a problem. So make sure to use this tool if you want to, and you also have the navigator if you want. Okay, and it will also show you the degrees, the X and Y axis, the height and width too at the same time. So hope you learned everything in this lesson on the 5 basic tools and also about the type ribbon in Adobe Illustrator. And if you have any questions about this lesson, okay, so feel free to ask me anything, or feel free to ask me any question, and I will guide you through the whole process. So thank you for watching this video up till the end. Now in our next lesson, we are going to learn about the select ribbon and also the next 5 tools Adobe Illustrator has to offer. Thank you.